Thank you everyone for being here. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's roundtable discussion on the key marketing trends for 2025. This roundtable is brought to you by Renewed, the open network for specialized subscription, membership and event professionals. My name is Sue Stevens and I'm the Executive Director for Renewed Europe. Hopefully you would have all received an email from me explaining that today's session is going to be an open roundtable discussion with lots of participation rather than a standard webinar presentation. So please do all get involved. The aim of this session is for us all to come away with a much better idea of the current marketing trends and benchmarks within this community. We'd like to thank Helen Coetzee, CEO and founder of MPG, for agreeing to host the discussion on behalf of Renewed today. The session is free and open to all, and the recordings and takeaways will be shared afterwards on the Renewed Forum, which is our new online community platform. If you haven't already joined the forum, I'll put a link in the chat so you can do so. Renewed is run on a not-for-profit basis by the members, for the members. It's all about community, and the more you get involved, the more you get out of it. So definitely get involved. From a housekeeping point of view, please keep yourself on mute to minimize background noise and only unmute yourself to join the discussion. Do turn on your videos if you can. It makes a big difference to see everyone's faces. And please put your name and company in the box so we know who's asking the questions. I'm going to hand over to Helen now to get the discussion started. Helen, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sue. Thanks so much for organizing us all so well. So this is an online roundtable. It's not a webinar format. Sometimes we call it a webinar, but that's a bit confusing because it's actually a roundtable, which means everyone comes together and has a chance to participate. We can all see who's here and everyone gets to chat in the chat. And sometimes we ask you to join in. And I would say raise your hand if you have something to contribute. I might not get to you straight away. I've got a kind of a slide deck today. So we don't always have slide decks for the roundtables, but I decided to do one today because we want to get through the 8 marketing trends, make them visible. And we also want to do some polling, which I think you guys are going to find really interesting. So we've got 25 people so far, so we'll have some good results from our polls. So love you to share your experiences, benchmarks, etc. There's a lot of people on today's call, so do, if you want to raise your hand, do, but please don't feel, it's not personal if I don't let you speak. And I'd encourage you to continue the conversation afterwards on the Renewed Forum, which is Sue will add to the chat how you can join the Renewed Forum. So why do we do these Renewed roundtables that are open to all? They are outreach from Renewed members. So I'm a Renewed member, also a board member, and we like to serve the wider community, people who aren't paying to be members or necessarily even signed up as a member. Anyone could just come along. And it's truly a community by the members for the members. And if you're not a member, we hope you'll become one soon. So today, why are we doing today's topic, which is all about trends in B2B marketing? It's because we all want to keep up to date with the latest stuff, obviously, and we want to know we're not falling behind. So what today is about is to ask yourself the big and maybe scary questions about your marketing, is to think about how you're doing your marketing now, and to think about if and how you should change your approach. And that's the final one is probably the most important one, because I think these trends, a lot about AI, a lot about things like immersive marketing, all that kind of stuff. It all sounds great, and there are a lot of people making a lot of money out of putting out content about buy my tool that will help you do this AI thing, or it's buy my piece of software, or buy my consultancy services that are going to help you do this. But actually, all of those vendors are putting out a lot of content that actually makes people feel like they're further behind than they are. So in reality, a lot of the things that we need to do day to day in our marketing, I think, are we have to do the basic stuff really, really well, and where we can layer on and add some new, interesting, exciting, innovative things we do. So today, I think it would be really good if we can all benchmark what we're doing, and I think be really honest in the benchmarks. Nobody's going to see what you put in. So if you're not doing any video in marketing, say I'm not doing any video in my marketing, and I think what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to see genuinely where you are, allowed you to see where you're behind and where you need to catch up, and kind of validate a lot of what you're doing. So because there's such a big group, we're going to do quite a lot of polling, and kind of that's going to be the participation. And I'd encourage you to put a lot in the chat as well. So what I'd say is in the chat, if you could now put in your name, your organization name, and your website address and your role, that would be really good, because that helps us this is a roundtable format. The great thing about online events, and when I do online training, I say, guess what? You can talk while the speaker's speaking. You get to talk to each other, which you can't do if it's a live event. You all have to keep quiet and listen. So in this format, if you could just keep putting stuff in the chat and keep adding into the comments, into the chat, you're learning so far, examples you can share, opportunities you see, challenges holding you back, and also reach out to individuals. So if someone puts something in the chat that says, I've tried this thing and it worked really well, and you recognize that company as being similar to yours, I recommend you reach out to them on direct messaging in here to set up a follow-up, or go and find them on the forum or find them on LinkedIn. But ideally just kind of set that up in the chat now, and that's the best way to make most of it. It's kind of a power hour. We've only got an hour. We're going to get through a lot of stuff, and a lot of networking will go on in the chat, I'm sure. So if you haven't already done so, your name, organization name, URL, website address, and your role in the chat. Have a look at people who look interesting to you, you want to talk to, put in learnings, examples, opportunities, challenges, and then you can kind of find someone who's got the same challenge as you, or that you can learn something from. So we'll get going. So these are the 8 key B2B marketing trends that we've identified. And I got this list from ChatGPT. So I thought, what could we talk about? And let's come up with some trends that are there's a lot of buzz around them. They're new, they're interesting, they're exciting. And figure out how these apply to media and events. And actually, the way we're going to get the value out of this is you guys are going to tell us quite a lot about what you're doing by adding to the chat, and by raising your hands. So we're going to kind of share in that way. So I won't read through these. You guys can read them yourselves. And there's a lot of things in there that a lot of us, a lot of organizations maybe aren't doing, or aren't doing enough or are doing a lot of, so we can learn from each other. So we're going to start the poll. Sue's going to drive the polls for us, and we're going to start off with quite a complex one, actually. So this is quite a complicated poll, but what we want to know is, of these 8 trends, who is actually doing what? So you'll see across the top, yes, we are using this. No, we're not using this. I don't know if we are using this, or I don't know what this is. So if you guys could just fill in for each one of those trends, where you are on that scale. Often you might be in a business where actually you're not in a marketing role, or you're a CEO and you actually don't know if you're doing it or not, which is fine, but rather say you don't know than say no. And certainly tell us if you're not sure what the thing is, because that's also useful benchmarking. So we'll give you another minute or two to complete that. What would be interesting to see is, obviously we haven't gone into each of these topics. So you might say, what do we mean by AI-powered marketing? Or what do we mean by hyper-personalization at scale? So what's really good to take the temperature of the room now is to understand, if you don't know what it is, if you don't know what's meant by it, just say you don't know what it is, because that means that it's helpful to understand also where everyone else is. You can benchmark yourselves, but also how Renewed can help you learn about those topics.
Just a few polls still coming in, and then I'll shut it in a minute.
So when Sue shuts the poll, we'll all be able to see the results. Thank you, Sue. Great. Okay, so how does the color coding work? Okay, go to the bottom. So the light blue is yes, we are using this. The dark blue is no, we're not using this. The orange is I don't know if we're using this, and the turquoise is I don't know what this is. Okay, that's very interesting. So most people are doing something with AI, but there's quite a lot of people who aren't. Data seems to be the thing, zero-party data and privacy-first marketing, that is least understood and least adopted. Influence marketing seems to be the one that everyone knows what it is, but some people aren't using it. Maybe we're not doing this, but maybe if we'd done this at the end of the session, once we'd gone through what these things are, we might have got a different result. So, which I don't think we've set up, but there you go, learning for next time. Hyper personalization at scale, we've got 17% of people doing this. And no, we're not, to 67%, with 11% saying, I don't know if we're using this. And some people saying they don't know what this is. Okay, I'm going to assume you've all had a chance to kind of look at those results. Um, have you got any comments? Does anyone want to add anything, share anything about which of those trends they think is the most important and why to their business? Anyone want to contribute something at this stage? It's a bit too early. Oh, brilliant. Sarah, yes, please.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon from Boston. I had trouble figuring out whether I was answering this question from the standpoint of our holding company. We're a small but mighty advisory, research, and consultancy for architecture and engineering firms. And within that context, I manage two different lines of business. So I found myself kind of answering the questions, thinking about the brand and then some of the things that I'm doing that are a little bit different. Um, and I'm particularly curious about B2B influencer marketing and how folks are thinking about that. I've spent my career in both consumer and B2B, on agency side, on client sides, on nonprofits, small businesses, big businesses. And it's interesting to me to think about, your champion fans as clients or customers, and how can they potentially influence you, influence others for your business, and then somebody that's adjacent to your industry that might have some influence. So I'll stop there and just say that's what I'm curious about. No, love to hear from others.
Great, thank you. I think we should spin that out into another session. It's a whole, each of these is a session, really. I would say, from our perspective of MPG, where we focus on event marketing and we look at how events can be used to grow subscriptions as well. I think events present the fantastic opportunity for influencer, because what it does is it puts a speaker, an expert, an industry expert with a lot of good thought leadership to share, again, alongside your brand. By agreeing to speak at your event, they're basically endorsing your brand. So whatever it is you're selling, they're saying this is a good organization to be involved in. Even the sponsors, if a sponsor is sponsoring an event, if a sponsor is sponsoring a piece of content of yours, that's an endorsement of your brand. So like they're influencing it by sponsoring it. So I think it would be interesting to think about how to leverage their involvement. And what we're seeing is a lot more adoption of automation, advocacy automation tools like Lean In and Ingo and Snowball as well, where advocacy marketing basically takes those endorsements. They say, yeah, I'll sponsor, yes, I'll speak, even yes, I'll attend your event, and they amplify that message to the world to say this person is buying this thing. This person is endorsing this by putting themselves on the stage. So I won't go into that any further, but I thought I'd just like contribute something there. I know we've got Rachel from Snowball here, who's an absolute expert in that. So Sarah, I think it'd be good if you hooked up with Rachel to see what she thinks about that. And I'll move on if that's okay with everyone. So what we have got is with the help of my lovely colleague Magda, found the state of the MarTech industry report. So after this, we will make sure you guys also kind of can see the video and the slides and things. It's a fantastic report. I use this report to build some benchmarking in, so we got some other benchmarks. But what's really interesting about this, it's written for MarTech companies, but what's interesting for MarTech companies to see where investors are investing in certain types of tech. So where investors are putting their money in MarTech is where the trends are. So it's really interesting to see which MarTech companies are growing, which categories are shrinking, because that tells us what the investors think the future of marketing is. There's clever people with quite often, the glass balls that kind of tell them what's going to happen in the future. And I pulled out some images from that. which show us how just some interesting stuff in terms of how marketing practices, especially on AI, lag behind AI market behind kind of adoption. The change is faster than people adopting it. And this is where money's going in terms of MarTech spend, so content and experience, social relationships, commerce and sales, data. These are like the top 5 of about 20. And then total number of products within each MarTech category. So we can see that like there's loads and loads of products in sales automation, enablement, content marketing, events, meetings, etc. So where the money, investors' money is going is probably where marketing should be going. But I thought, okay, let's do a poll based on that. So poll 2 is when we look at AI-powered marketing and we think about all the different ways in which we could use AI. Sorry, I'm looking at my screen next to me to talk about this. The balances between wasting our time playing with AI tools and trying every other AI tool out there and actually knowing that we're using AI tools well. So if you could complete that poll and we can see where everyone is in their AI journey. And while you're doing that, I'll show you what this State of the MarTech industry report says about this is a global view. So be truthful, please. So have we got all the results in there?
I think enough. Let me share.
Okay. Thank you. So 11% haven't adopted, 17% experimental, 50% limited use. So only 23%, if we add in 17% and 6%, feel like pretty confident that they're using AI well in their marketing. And if we compare this to what you can see on the screen, I'm just going to close. So if you keep that up for a while, see, that'd be great. So how does this align? I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve. What's the green one here? Broad adoption across multiple workflows. So how do we compare? Maybe not. So there's probably more adoption in the world than what is happening in our world at the moment. It's a very interesting comparison. Seems like there's a large number in experimental pilot phase and limited use in some specific workflows. Can anyone share? Have you got something to share about something you have fully adopted, a new AI way of working that you have fully adopted and you know works? You've got it nailed down. Does anyone have something to share about that for us? If you want to raise your hand. Let's see if there's some hands. No hands. Okay, we'll move on. I won't go through all of these
Bill, put his
sorry.
hand up.
Or who? Sorry?
Bill.
Bill, brilliant. Okay,
Hi.
Bill, please go.
Bill Dugan from EB Medicine. We have a very limited in the marketing side. We have a very limited use of using AI to improve marketing. 2 specific areas. One is subject line optimization for emails. We're using a free tool, subjectline.com. We use it regularly and successfully to ensure that we get optimal open rates with emails. We've been using AI to refresh, update, give a different approach to mostly existing email marketing efforts. That's not being done broadly, but the subjectline.com we use religiously.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. That's really helpful tip for everyone. Subjectline.com for subject lines. Sarah?
Yes, very quickly, we publish a lot of content, and recently we took a webinar that one of our analysts had done, and I created a transcript off of the community platform that we use. So I didn't get the transcript from the webinar player, but the community platform generated transcript. dropped it into a paid version of Claude, which is Anthropic, and asked it to generate a 600-word B2B newsletter article based on the webinar content, which then our analyst was going to edit so it sounded like a human, not a machine. And because I attended the webinar, I will say that what it played back was pretty darn accurate. Not a lot of hallucinations, not a lot of information that was not shared on the webinar. And again, this was proprietary content and put in our paid version of Claude. So it wasn't going out into the Ethernet. So that's been super useful for us.
That's really helpful. I have actually recently read that Claude's put out a new version that is a lot better than the previous version, and particularly around hallucinating. It kind
Yes,
of
I think it,
self-checks. It
yeah,
self-checks. Yeah.
I think so. I think that may have
Mm.
come out in the last week or so. Yeah.
Yeah. Sailor? Thank you,
Yeah,
Sailor.
hey, good morning. My name is Sailor. I'm with EB Medicine, and I use AI to kind of explore ideas. So if there's maybe like a sale we're running, I like to like ask AI what are some ideas that we can use to generate revenue or generate some views for that. And then in doing so, I also use it to create content. So I'll ask for like headlines, sub-headlines. I'll enter like a prompt, give me like keywords that are popular in this area. And then you can also ask it to give you something that's like SEO related. So it's just not giving you a bunch of random stuff. But yeah.
It's really great. I think what's interesting, what I'm spending a lot of time thinking about, and is how the prompts should be made really, really intelligent. And we've been to MPG's been talking to a few people about how they're doing AI, and recently it came up that how important it is to have really good kind of brand guidelines in there. So
Mhm.
tone of voice, the language you want to use, words you want to use, kinds of words you don't want to use, so that when AI produces copy for you, it's got that kind of style and tone and personality that is very clearly your brand.
Yeah, 1000%. Like you can upload it your target audience, like you said, your brand tone, even like your products you can upload in there. Like this is
Yeah,
what we sell and this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is why somebody might be interested in it. And then like you said, it'll learn you. It has memory, so it'll start
yeah,
to develop answers that are more tailored towards your business.
exactly.
It's great.
Bill?
Yeah, I'll share another tidbit from when I was working with Makota, and I was doing some work for Harvard Law School. I'm writing email marketing promotions for their virtual and in-person events. Going back to how important the prompt is, getting by a bunch of Harvard law professors in terms of marketing copy is a tough job. And what I would do is draft something, but then ask ChatGPT to rewrite it using the Harvard Law School brand staid voice. And amazingly, things got through and approved by some of their highfalutin law professors without any editing. So going back to how important the prompt is, and I've been using ChatGPT and Perplexity to do
Okay.
that kind of work for EV medicine in terms of refreshing or keeping to brand standards.
Thanks so much, Bill. So I mean, there's so much to talk about on this, and I think we should do another session just on the AI side. But if would be really good as the kind of roundtable contribution goes, is if everyone could put in the chat what it is that they are using, what tools are you using, and which ones do you recommend? Like what we found is a lot of tools. We've used a lot of AI. We've tried a lot of things as ourselves. We found a lot that work really well, and we found a lot that don't work well for certain things or don't work well yet. So it'd be good to kind of share that in the chat in the spirit of the roundtable. We're going to move on because we've got a big like lot to do. So there's another couple of slides here that you guys can hopefully look at later if that's okay. Let's go on to the content optimization. We're going to spend a lot of time on AI because AI is like a big theme, obviously, at the moment. So we've got another poll. And this would help people think about how they're using AI, or like benchmark yourself. You can choose multiple things, by the way. Don't just choose one thing. So what are the different ways in which you're using AI? There's obviously maybe some other things you could use AI for, but you've put a few in there. Thank you, Sue. So not many using video. Doesn't surprise us. Not many people using for video creation because we haven't found AI tools do great videos yet, or great images as well. That's what we found. Great. So there's some good answers there. Most commonly used for copy ideation and copy creation, which isn't surprising, and project management, taking transcripts, summaries of calls, strategy and planning. Great. Interesting. Okay. Not surprising though. So we're going to move on. And this is, from this report again. Interesting. I think we're a little bit ahead of the curve here, but this was 3 weeks ago, so maybe everyone's caught up a little bit. So we're using AI more for these things, it seems, than the people surveyed for this report, which had thousands of contributors. Standalone assistants, these are the ones that the respondents of this research said they were using. ChatGPT, the big one, Gemini. I've heard Gemini is not the greatest these days. Claude, I think, is picked up in the last couple of weeks. Claude is probably better than it was and more adopted. And Perplexity is the other big one. So we'll move on. So please keep sharing your learnings, examples, challenges, opportunities, and finding people to chat to. Let's go on hyper-personalization at scale. So obviously that requires AI, really, and there's a lot of AI tools. So we've got a poll here, which is how do you currently personalize your marketing messages? Again, you could select 1 and 2 if you want to, probably not 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 if you're doing both. And if you're doing something different, could you specify what it is you're doing? Not sure if your answer will have your name on it when we see the results. Can't remember.
Yeah, not sure. We'll find out in a minute.
So there's kind of really simple personalization and really advanced personalization. And there's probably a whole lot of stuff in between. So most people are doing simple stuff. 11% aren't doing any. It's quite a big number, I think. No one's doing the hyper personalization. Yay. That makes us all feel better. I'm not sure we know exactly where that fits into our world yet, but I think that's really interesting. Has anyone thought about doing hyper personalization? Has anyone got like a little challenge they want to solve around, or an opportunity? Like, where would hyper personalization work really well in your business? If you could like just magic up a hyper personalized campaign tomorrow and you knew exactly how to do it, where would you use it? Can you think of something? I think sometimes AI is all about like what you can imagine it, and then it's probably possible. Do we have any hands up? I probably should have an answer for myself to contribute there. I think it's probably something to think about. I think probably that leaves us with a question of like, we should probably be thinking bigger, because if we can imagine it, we could probably do it these days with the tools available. It's just about, I think it's one of those things we've got to decide where it's relevant, where it will make a difference, where it will have impact. That's the key question. At what point, it's a kind of the rule of diminishing returns. At what point is it worth it? At what point is it not worth it? So I'm just going to have a look in the chat to see if there's anything. So Rachel has very kindly put in something for us in the chat around Singulate.com for email personalization using AI, which is quite advanced. Thank you, Rachel. We'll look into that one. Some stuff about audio. So Stephanie has said that you're not using AI for video creation, but we're using it for video editing. Absolutely. I think we should have probably had that in the list. Descript is a good tool for video editing. Anyone else using Descript? Be good to know. Canva AI, yep. That's quite a big one. We found that Canva AI has its faults. So like it doesn't handle text on images very well. And ChatGPT is the same, like it muddles up the letters when you have an image with, or like logos, sometimes it does weird things to logos, changes the font in logos. Okay. Good. Keep chatting in the chat and we're going to move on. So this is interesting. So this is the Martech report, which tells us what other people are using AI for. So audience segmentation, target content production, 78%. I think what's really interesting, so I highlighted here the elements relevant to personalization. So the three that have got a red frame around them are the ones relevant to segment personalization. So actually quite a lot using for audience segmentation and targeting. Email, SMS, automation, and personalization. SMS is an interesting one. Is anyone doing anything with SMS and AI at the moment? Let's see if anyone puts up their hand. Website, mobile app personalization. I think that's very exciting. Landing pages. I guess those are probably the next frontier for us, cracking that one. Because if people can land on a page, it's really relevant to them. They're probably a lot more likely to convert. So let's see. Sarah said, no SMS use, but all our conferences use polling messaging apps via the app. Yeah. Stephanie, not using SMS, but we want to. So we should probably look into that to see how we can progress. Are you using LLMs or agentic AI in any of your marketing workflows? So this was another one where I thought was interesting from the report. It's 137 pages, so I just pulled out the things I thought most relevant to us. You to personalize content and messages, 31.3% of people are using AI tools to personalize stuff, which I think is interesting. I guess it's the content generation you can use to say, right, here's the basic version, take this version and make it work for this audience or that audience. Maybe do it that way. A lot of you guys are probably using that already, as are we. Okay, so data. We're going to move on to data, the next poll. This was the one that people were least sure of in terms of what they are doing, what they should be doing. Here we've explained what zero party and first party data is, according to the definitions that we believe are true.
Votes just coming in. I'll share in a minute.
Any questions on that poll actually before maybe there's some. While we're waiting for that, Alicia, thanks Alicia, has put in Hey Jen, good for AI, heygen.com, good for AI video and avatar creation based on short 30-second video of yourself talking to camera. Would work really well for training courses. Thanks, Alicia. That's really helpful. Okay, we're getting the results. Thank you, Sue. Interesting. Okay. Anyone want to add anything to the conversation about data? But what would be really interesting is if you could compare this to 2 years ago, I think, where we were 2 years ago. Can you all see the results? They all popped up on your screen. Anyone want to add anything about like where they think the next frontier is, the next opportunity is, or a quick win might be? Maybe you've got data sitting somewhere that you're not actually making the most of. So data is not a very exciting subject for most people. Great. Okay, we're going to move on. I don't think anyone's got their hand up, do they? Okay, well, it was good to see that what the results were for that poll. So keep adding your, just a little reminder, keep adding your learnings, examples, opportunities, challenge, so we keep the conversation going in the chat. Poll 6, short form video and vertical video. So we only had short form video in how we describe this event, but we've added in. So who's using short form video? Forget vertical video for a while. So our poll is who's using short form video, who's using longer videos, and we don't use video. Short form being 10 seconds or less. And the answers are? Yeah, Stephanie's pointed out that short form is now 10 seconds. It used to be 20 to 30 seconds. It's a very good point. I think they're saying TED Talks have reduced. So TED Talks used to be 19 minutes and now they're 13 minutes or something because people's attention spans have reduced so much. So 41% using short form, 53% longer, 6% no video. Okay. Sarah was saying that she uses Loom for videos. Does anyone want to share what they? I'll tell you what, we're going to do the next poll, and then we don't do a poll about vertical video. When I was talking to my team about this session, my team said we should put in vertical video as well because vertical video is really important for mobile consumption. So vertical video is where you film it with your like long ways, and then when people are watching it, they see it like TikTok, basically. So if you could answer that poll. Thank you, Sue. I think what this is telling me is vertical video is a big opportunity because it's where it's more mobile. It's more about mobile consumption. 86% of people are not using vertical video. Anyone want to like add anything on video? Do you want to share? I'd love to hear how people like who's ramped up their use of video and what are your results? What are you seeing as results? Nobody's volunteering. Okay. Don't worry, I'll do all the work. It's fine.
Everybody's tired on a Friday.
I know. Just keep talking. Just as well I've got slides and polls.
Bill's talking. He's ready.
Ah, is he? Brilliant. Thank you, Bill. Bill's
I'll
gonna
bail
get
you out,
Bill's
Helen. I'll bail
gonna
you out.
yeah, thank you.
We're using, interestingly, as I put in the chat, our pay-per-click agency tells us that 20-second, and we're doing vertical videos for Google and Bing pay-per-click ads that promote our premium products. They are doing very well. We started last fall doing that. We weren't doing any pay-per-click video ads. We started last September, October, and have had great success getting immediate positive ROI on all the ad spend from those.
And what are you advertising, Bill? Specifically, what products?
Our subscription products.
And how much do people pay for those? Like, is it an annual subscription?
Yeah, an annual subscription is on average for one title of $475.
Okay.
We have used those exclusively for, well, interestingly, our initial thought about it was, let's only promote the subscription products because there's lifetime value there, obviously, versus a one-shot, a course, or a report. And we were a little worried that we wouldn't get the immediate ROI. We've now started advertising some of our one-shot courses as well. That just started. So,
And that's on Google, right?
Google and Bing.
Okay. Do you know what your cost per acquisition is? I'd be really interested to know cost per acquisition.
I don't know that off the top of my head. I just know we get an immediate positive ROI ranging from 1.5 to 3. times the ad
Okay.
spend.
And I guess the lifetime value of that, once you've got a subscriber, the lifetime
Oh,
value is,
right. Then
yeah,
then there's the gravy on top with the
yeah,
renewals, right?
yeah.
So it's very exciting. We're having great success with
That's
pay-per-click in
excellent.
general, but the video stuff is fairly new last fall.
I think it's a very exciting area. I think what we found actually is Google, Alicia will know more about this than I do, but Google's got some really interesting tools in PPC that create video for you. And there's certain ways to use that well to create, good video, and there's certain ways to use that badly. Alicia, do you know more about this than I do? I know we don't have, unfortunately, any of our PPC experts on the call today.
Yeah, they're not the best videos, the ones Google creates for you. So it's always better to have, if you can, have your own designed video that you use for pay-per-click. But if you don't, then you can use Google's suite within Google Ads to create. It's more of like a slideshow with music and animation, so it's pretty basic, but it's getting better. But yeah, definitely if you've got your own video content, it'll perform much better.
Yeah, we're using one of our physicians, a content subject matter expert. And believe me, trying to get a physician to talk for only 20 seconds can be challenging. And he creates them all. There's credibility because it's coming from a physician, and then he creates them. I don't know what tool he uses, and then we edit them.
Great.
Yeah.
I picked up an article a couple of weeks ago, might have been last week actually, last Tuesday, I think it was, in the newspaper about how UBS, the investment bank, is using avatars of their analysts. It's more of a sales thing and like a customer service thing, like delivering the product to their customers. But basically, what they're doing, because the analysts don't like talking to video and they don't want to like spend a fortune on video production, they're getting the analysts, obviously, features and, characteristics captured in a professional way. And then they're using that to create avatars. And then when they submit a report to a client or a piece of work for the client's analysis or whatever it might be, got advice on investment, whatever it might be, they have the avatar talking through the key points of the report. And that's a video. And I immediately thought that would be great for subscriptions. So like high value subscriptions. If you're publishing a report for subscribers, or a report basically, you can have, if your editor or your head of research or analyst is really well known in the industry, you want to create like a bit of a personality around this person. So the person who's called on to be interviewed on television or whatever it might be. If you don't want to spend hours and hours trying to get this person to be a really well-trained presenter on video, exactly the same principles would apply. So I thought immediately this is a great opportunity for media businesses where their editors could basically play the role of that kind of analyst person, especially because a lot of the editors are quite well known. So you can basically create thousands and thousands of videos using your editor's avatar. You'd probably have to say along the bottom, this is an avatar, obviously, but I don't think people would mind if they know it's an avatar and it's a better way of consuming the stuff. Okay, so I'm going to move on, if that's okay, if anyone else has got anything else to add. Thank you, Bill. Bill's my favorite participant at the moment. Thank you. So again, just, keep adding your suggestions to things. So webinars and virtual experiences. It's basically digital events, right? And how we use those different types, marketing events, sales events, recruitment, training, communications. And the question is, how do you keep them fresh, valuable, worth showing up for, worth watching again, worth sharing with your network? What we haven't got for this one, sorry, I didn't have a poll because I thought we were all using probably webinars and virtual experiences. This is one. But what would be good, sorry, I can't go back, but what would be good is if you could add to the chat both influencer marketing and the video marketing and interactive marketing, because the reason I've kind of said let's chat about this is because they go together in my mind. Because often the influencer marketing comes through a webinar format. So you have an influencer doing a webinar for you. Bill, what you just said, a physician is an influencer doing some video for you. Maybe that's done in a live format. So it'd be good to kind of have that conversation and hear what people have to say. There's loads going on in the chat. Thanks, Stephanie. Anyone want to contribute to that one? Say something. Who's got their hand up?
I think we kind of mentioned it, but for us, using the physicians that are in our industry is really key for that. And I just put in the chat, one of the challenges is that some of them are video shy. So trying to figure out like what we could do to have their voice be there, and then something else that's the video portion of it. And then I've also been thinking a lot about how to encourage them more to like share proactively on their own social channels. And because it's great, we'll record a video and put it on our own, but even better if they can put it, on their personal LinkedIn or wherever. I don't think we've asked much yet for them to do that, so I don't know if they're willing to or not. But the other one, and I think it was Sarah that mentioned in the chat, that we've used in the past. It's been a while, but we're just asking our customers to submit video testimonials, and we created a landing page on our website where we gave them a couple of prompts, like answer these questions, say your name, where you're from, and then how you recently used the product or what your favorite topic was that we've covered. So it kind of gave them like something to do. And then I think we offered maybe like a 3-month extension or something on their subscription if they submitted one. And that was actually like 10 years ago when it was harder to do video and submit it. So I think if we did it again now, I don't even know that we need to offer like anything to get them to do it. So I think using your customers as your influencers, even if they're not celebrities in the space, they're still getting in front of their network if you can get them to share it on their own profiles and things like that too.
I love that. I think that sounds amazing. And also they like real people. So sometimes I think if they kind of well-known celebrities, they're not accessible, they feel a little bit remote, like that's not, you can't really relate. Whereas if it's a real person who's just like you and just seems really ordinary, a lot more relatable to thousands and thousands of the people you want to become your subscribers. That sounds brilliant. Sarah.
I'm just going to add to a piece that Stephanie and I were riffing on a moment ago in chat, and it occurred to me that there's some parallels with this topic and my experience in getting sales organizations to adopt something new. And so if you think about the constituency as at a peer level, I found, and maybe with physicians it might ring true. I think maybe in my world, it's the C-suite level of the architecture and engineering firms. But in any event, going just back to sales, folks, if they're thinking about their peers, I found it was always really helpful to get somebody that was perceived as sort of having that influence amongst that peer group and getting them on board with something that was a change, so it could be a video, it could be some sort of a change in process. And as long as they understood the benefit and what it was giving them, and they started to do it, then I got some endorsement and participation from others as well. So I'm thinking about all these things and sort of stitching things together. So I'm finding this discussion very helpful. So thank you.
Great. I think that's really interesting in terms of showing how others are adopting change, how others are innovation is like a difficult word, isn't it? It's like changing. It's like it's safe to change, it's good to change because ultimately we all like change is so important and people just naturally almost always resist change. And then how do you make it look safe? How do you make it sound safe? How do you make it feel safe to change and show the benefits and be really like make those so visible and clear and relatable in any setting, whether it's a customer or an internal customer, like trying to get people internally to do things differently. So I guess back to the theme of video, influencer marketing, who are the influencers? What are we trying to achieve with these influencers? It's a big topic in itself. Great, excellent, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. as we got 8 minutes left. We've got one more theme, which is the trend, which is interactive and immersive content. Another poll. I think this is the final one. Are you using any of these? Which ones are you using? And then are you using other types of interactive and immersive content? Shall we just benchmark ourselves? While we're waiting for people to do that, so Tracy, hi Tracy, nice to see you. We interview some of the speakers and high-profile attendees at our events, and the final question is always related to whether they're enjoying the event and why they're attending, and then take those specific answers and edit them into a marketing video. So that's quite like a simple, really, it's difficult to execute because you have to organize yourself really well and make sure you get them all on camera, but it's not beyond anyone's ability to do that. And it's about doing that really well and creating really great video, I guess, making the videos really cool and that people want to watch. That doesn't surprise me at all, these results. I was interested to see. I think everyone's being really honest. Who's using gamification and why? Who's going to volunteer for us? Who is using gamification and why? How? Like, what's doing for you? Really intrigued. I don't think I can see everyone on my screen anymore. Who said there's 14% of you, at least one person, using gamification. So you have to own up and tell us who you are.
It's not me, Helen, I'll tell you that. I
Rachel,
can
is it
help you.
you? Is it?
I'll do. I mean, we work a lot with peer-to-peer referrals, and obviously, you know, whether they're subject matter experts or the actual people, members, or sponsors, in the context of what we do is gamifying a little bit them wanting to share and talk about whatever their expertise is, or in order to promote either a piece of content or an event or whatever it is. So it's trying to incentivize them and give a like a leaderboard and put the, some of them are competitive and they love that and they see it's like, okay, I want to get this. And then some of them are not, but that's one way we use it to kind of push a little bit the engagement for them to really want to share. Some people are motivated by something, but some of them will do it just for the sake of doing it. So it's in that context, but trying to personalize it depending on the group of people you're working with and what's the outcome that you want to do. And sometimes it's not monetary per se, but it's more giving them an experience, or like someone said earlier, a subscription or next year's event, whatever that is that you think that will appeal to that particular group of audience.
Great. So that's kind of bringing gamification together with influencer marketing, kind of
Yeah.
those two combined. That's an excellent example. Thanks, Rachel. If anyone wants to know more from Rachel, I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. Okay, we're gonna move on unless anyone else Bill, did you have something to share there or?
No,
No.
no, we're not
No.
really in marketing, we're not using gamification to any
Okay.
extent.
Okay, so thanks for all your contributions. We've got 4 minutes left. We covered all these topics. I was wondering how we were going to get through all these topics in an hour, but I think we've managed it. So thank you for everyone. What I'd love to do, and Sue's going to take over now in our plea for, I'm sure Stephanie will be happy to hear. We want to get more hosts involved and more marketing roundtables going. So Sue, handing over to you.
Trying to find my unmute button. I was getting ready to talk. So as I said earlier, that Renewed is run by the members for the members. So the more you get involved, the more the community gets out of it, the more you get out of it. So if you do have an idea for a topic, or if you're happy to host an online roundtable or something sparks an interest that you think we could put on under the Renewed banner, please do get in touch. My email's on the screen. We'd love to hear from you. In terms of what's coming up, we've got the summit starting next weekend, which is very exciting, over 100 attendees, and it's our 5th annual event. So if you haven't made up your mind and you are still thinking that you might head over to Washington to join us, then please do. The Renewed Forum is our new online community platform. It's not so new anymore, but it is where we host all our webinar recordings and continue these sorts of conversations and meet up with others in the community. So if you haven't yet joined, please go ahead and do so. You just need to fill in a form, and then it works a bit like LinkedIn. You just go in and have a look at the feed and see what's coming up. Our next Renewed Europe event is going to be a strategy workshop on the 18th of June, which will be followed by our summer drinks reception. More information on the website there, and who and what the topic's going to be. It's going to be creating the must-have products for our most valuable customers. All of our events are listed on our website. So we've recently updated our website. So if you haven't yet had a look, go and have a look. There's lots of exciting and interesting things there. And I think that would be it from me.
Yeah, and we run on to 2 minutes to go. So we can spend the 2 minutes looking at the slide and figuring out what you want to do next in world of Renewed. Does anyone have anything else they want to like share or request in a future roundtable, or volunteer themselves to get involved? We have not got it on the slide, but we have got our first ever Marketing Strategy Council for premium members only. So there are some of these. This is for everyone, but for premium members only, there's a Marketing Strategy Council session on, what's the date, Sue? 15th of August, is that the one?
15th of August.
Yeah, and that's 90 minutes, and we're going to dive into, I'll be kind of facilitating that one as well, waiting for, as soon as anyone else comes forward, I can retire or semi-retire. We're gonna talk about how events can be used to market subscriptions. So events in themselves obviously might be profit and revenue centers, but how, if you've also got a subscriptions product, how you make sure your events are used to grow your subscriptions revenue. So
I'm
that's
sorry,
the
Helen,
next.
what was the date? What was the date on that one?
The 15th of August, and
Okay.
that's for premium members only. So
Okay. I think our president is a premium member.
there you go. You get to come along then. If your company's a premium member, you can come along to that one. Just make sure you figure out who's got the membership. And it's usually the very senior person, CEOs, MDs have the
I
membership
will
in
be
there.
shortly sending out an email on that, and then they can spread that out within the organizations.
Excellent. So I see we still have 16 people. So thanks everyone who stayed right until the end, and we'll wrap up. Have a lovely weekend when it arrives. Thank you, everyone. Lovely
Thank you,
to
Helen.
see you. Thanks all.
Thanks all, and thank you, Helen. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sue.